Hello, friend, and welcome to the Sleepy Meteorologist. Tonight, we're unraveling the gentle mysteries behind why storm clouds spin so gracefully, how towering columns of air and vapor begin to turn, twist, and spiral through the sky like dancers in a slow celestial waltz. High above, in the hush between pressure and wind, something subtle begins. And with each quiet rotation, a storm is born, not in violence, but in balance. It's a beautiful ballet of invisible forces, patiently waiting to be understood. Maybe your day has been long, or maybe you're just here for a moment of peace before drifting off. Either way, I'm glad you're here. Take a breath. Feel the air settle around you like a soft blanket. There's no rush now. No need to stay alert, just gentle thoughts and slow skies. How's the weather feeling where you are tonight? Cool and quiet? Warm and sleepy? Or maybe, like the sky, your mind is slowly turning inward. If these calming journeys through the atmosphere bring you peace, you're always welcome to subscribe, or simply leave a kind thought in the comments, only if it feels restful to do so. Snuggle in. Let your thoughts settle. Let's begin. We begin with a whisper. Before the storm takes shape, before clouds rise and swirl into towering giants, there is something far quieter, something soft and nearly invisible. A tiny shift in the air, a slight contrast, a gentle difference in temperature, in pressure, in movement. It doesn't roar and it doesn't race. It simply begins. Imagine a vast stretch of sky above an open field. The sun has warmed the ground unevenly. Perhaps one patch is sunlit, while another lies in shadow. The air above each patch responds, and the balance begins to shift. This imbalance, this asymmetry in the air, is what gives birth to motion. A gentle breeze may stir. It might come from the west, brushing softly across the surface. But above it, in a higher layer of the atmosphere, another wind may be flowing from the south. These two streams of air, each calm on its own, are now moving in different directions. And where they meet, they begin to twist, not abruptly, not in chaos, but in a slow, graceful spin. This is the first twist of air. In meteorology, we call this wind shear, a difference in wind speed or direction across a short distance. And though it sounds technical, in truth, it's a quiet choreography. The atmosphere, layered and moving, creates moments where horizontal winds start to curl, folding into themselves ever so gently. Like a ribbon caught between currents, the air begins to coil. And while this turning motion is still horizontal, laying flat across the landscape, it waits patiently for another ingredient, for warmth, for lift. What's remarkable is how such a powerful force can begin in such stillness. There's no storm yet, no rain, no thunder, just air shifting softly, energy beginning to gather in graceful silence. It's almost as if the sky is stretching, waking up. Above us, molecules drift in invisible trails. They carry heat and moisture. They hold momentum. And as the sun continues to warm the ground and the air begins to stir more deeply, something gentle and inevitable unfolds. Rotation. It doesn't spin like a wheel or a top. Not yet. But the seed has been planted. The atmosphere has whispered its intention to turn, to twist, to rise. If you could float within it, you wouldn't hear a sound, but you might feel the faintest tug, a sideways glide, a drift, almost imperceptible but purposeful. And so, the first twist of air becomes a quiet foundation. Not the storm itself, but the soft murmur of what might someday become one. As you rest here with me tonight, picture that invisible motion, soft and slow, winding through the sky, untouched by urgency, just balance seeking balance, just the air gently deciding to turn. This is where all storm rotation begins, a single twist, a whisper between winds, the skies. First sleepy spin. In the great quiet above us, movement begins not with thunder, but with warmth. A single breath of sunlit air rising softly through the sky sets the stage. It's called convection, a gentle, ever-present dance between warm and cool. And it happens all around us, whether we notice it or not. On a sunlit afternoon, the Earth's surface absorbs radiant energy. Dark soil warms, pavement glows, even blades of grass quietly gather heat. This warmth transfers upward, into the air just above, where invisible molecules begin to stir faster, loosening their grip on the ground. Warm air, being lighter and less dense, begins to rise. There's no rush, no sudden surge, just a soft vertical drift, an upward sigh. As this warm air lifts into the cooler sky, it leaves space behind. And into this space, cooler air gently flows downward to take its place. This is the cycle, the endless exchange. Warm air rising, cool air sinking. It's peaceful to imagine, isn't it? Columns of air, slowly moving up and down like a lullaby played in reverse. This is the foundation of cloud formation, of storm growth, of rotation itself. Because rising air carries more than warmth, it carries moisture. And moisture, when cooled, becomes the breath of clouds. Above, the rising air expands. The higher it climbs, the cooler it becomes. And as it cools, the water vapor it holds begins to condense. Tiny droplets form, clustering together, like stars in the vast sky. A cloud begins to appear. But beneath this soft, visible birth lies an engine that continues to turn. Warm air still rises. Cool air still settles. And with each breath of this vertical movement, the system strengthens, layers forming like soft stairs into the upper sky. If the air is also rotating, even slightly, this rising motion begins to tilt that rotation upward, turning a gentle sideways twist into something more vertical, more spiraling. Like stretching a coil upward, the atmosphere transforms, and still, it remains quiet. So much of this happens without sound, without drama, just the graceful laws of nature at play. When you feel a breeze against your cheek, it's often a trace of this vertical exchange. Warm air lifting from sun-warmed ground, cool air drifting down to fill its place. In the world of weather, this is one of the most essential movements, a soft ascent, a quiet descent, a looping breath between earth and sky, and within it, the seeds of a storm are sown. So tonight, as you rest, picture this simple, elegant motion. Warmth rising like a sigh, cool air settling like a hush, the sky breathing in slow rhythm. And somewhere, gently, a cloud begins to turn. High above the fields and rooftops, above trees swaying gently in the breeze, something quiet and remarkable is always happening. The winds are not one unified river. They are layered, stratified into invisible streams, each moving at its own pace, in its own direction. Some flow steadily from the west. Others drift lazily from the south. Still others may meander eastward far above, barely touching the layers beneath. This delicate difference in movement is what meteorologists call wind shear, a shift in wind speed or direction across short distances in the atmosphere. But tonight, we won't think of it as a measurement. Instead, we'll listen for its presence, like a hidden hand gently brushing across the sky. Imagine stacking gentle currents of air one atop the other, like ribbons in motion. Each ribbon glides a bit differently, one a little faster, one at a slight angle, and between them a tension forms, a tug, a twist, a subtle difference. This is where the story of storm rotation quietly deepens. Where these air layers meet, they begin to shear. Not sharply, not with a snap, but with a soft torsion. It's not something we can see with the naked eye, and it makes no sound, but the atmosphere feels it and responds. The result is the formation of a horizontal tube of spinning air. Picture a long, invisible cylinder slowly rolling across the sky, like a giant spool turning sideways in the breeze. This isn't a tornado, not even close. It's far above and far gentler. But it is rotation, calm, hidden, waiting. Wind shear is the artist behind the curtain, setting the stage without ever stepping into the spotlight. It doesn't demand attention. It simply arranges the air in a way that makes rotation possible. As warm air begins to rise from the surface, encouraged by the sun's warmth and a gentle drop in pressure, this roll of air waits, hovering, spinning, unseen. It's peaceful to imagine these invisible cylinders just drifting along above us, softly rotating while the world continues below. And what's more, they're not dangerous by themselves. They're part of the sky's natural rhythm. These turning tubes exist every day, in small ways and large. They are born from balance, where air layers try to move in harmony. But their differences create a twist instead. If you were to float inside one of these rolls, you wouldn't hear a thing, just a quiet swirl, just the feel of air in motion. So much of meteorology is invisible. So much is slow and soft, far removed from the drama we often associate with storms. And this chapter is one of the gentlest. The hidden hand of wind shear doesn't push. It doesn't pull. It merely offers a twist, a gift to the sky, a soft invitation to spin. Tonight, rest easy, knowing that even in the most complex systems, the beginnings are calm and the forces at work are patient. Somewhere above, the sky is turning slowly, quietly, and the air is learning how to dance, gently by layers of wind moving at different speeds. It floats there, horizontal, subtle, balanced. But something is rising. From the surface, warmed by sunlight and touched by moisture, a column of air begins to lift. Not quickly, not violently, just a soft, upward motion, an exhale from the earth itself. And as it rises, it brushes the side of that spinning roll. The upward draft tilts the roll ever so slightly, nudging it from flat to upright. This is a moment of transformation, where once the rotation spun parallel to the ground, it now begins to stand. The roll, still turning, is drawn into the rising current. Like a wheel placed on its side, slowly brought to standing, the sky reorients its motion. This gentle tilt is essential, because when a horizontal rotation becomes vertical, something new can begin. The entire structure, air, wind, moisture, starts to organize. The storm begins to rotate. Meteorologists call this the process of updraft tilting. But for us tonight, we'll simply think of it as the sky lifting a spiral. Picture a soft, rising column of air, slowly drawing a turn into itself, like stirring a warm drink in a still room. The motion isn't forced, it's carried. The air begins to spiral upward, not in chaos, but in quiet formation. The newly tilted column doesn't become a tornado. It's not there yet. It's the first gesture, the first shape that allows for vertical spin to take root, the beginnings of a rotating storm. Within the cloud, this rotation is still calm, still slow, but it is now aligned with gravity, moving upward into the heights. The atmosphere, having whispered its intent, now begins to sculpt. The air that enters the storm continues to turn, and because the rotation is now vertical, it aligns with the growing structure of the cloud itself. The entire system becomes more focused, more efficient, still soft, still quiet, but beginning to swirl. You could almost imagine the sky practicing its signature, curling letters in air, drawing circles with invisible ink. And all the while, the process remains graceful. The lift is smooth, the turn is patient. Even as the cloud begins to grow taller, more defined, it still feels like a gentle ballet between warm air and wind shear, between the Earth's warmth and the sky's layered flow. This is where the architecture of the storm takes its shape. What began as a flat spin becomes upright. What floated gently is now rising, turning, building. As you drift off tonight, let your thoughts spiral gently like that column of air. Let the upward motion be soft. Let the rotation be slow. A graceful lift, from horizontal to vertical, from breeze to structure, from quiet to presence. The storm is not yet here, but the sky has begun to turn in earnest, and the dance continues. Within the towering embrace of a growing cloud, a quiet transformation takes place. Something begins to turn, slowly, calmly, patiently. At the center of the storm, hidden from view, a gentle rotation awakens. This is the mesocyclone, a broad, slowly turning column of air that lives deep inside some of the most powerful thunderstorms. But despite its grandeur, it doesn't arrive with force or fury. It begins with balance, with warmth, with motion that has quietly aligned. The air that has been rising, warm, moist, and buoyant has begun to spin as it ascends. Tilted from horizontal into vertical, the rotation we explored before now finds its place within the very body of the cloud. The storm has a spine now, a center, a soft, spiraling core. A mesocyclone is not something we see from the ground. It is not loud or sharp. It is a peaceful engine, turning gently inside the cloud base, helping to organize everything around it. This is the heart of a rotating thunderstorm. It may stretch several miles across, yet it remains smooth and steady. Air flows inward, is pulled upward, and turns as it climbs. All around it, the thunderstorm begins to arrange itself, drawn into the calm, wide motion at its center. You could think of it as the eye of a slow ballet, a dancer's pivot, a whirl that holds stillness in its motion. Above and around the mesocyclone, cloud towers continue to billow. They reach upward with soft determination, their tops spreading outward like petals unfolding in the sky. The storm matures, nurtured by this inner turning. Meteorologists use radar to detect these rotations, but tonight we won't need instruments. We'll simply imagine the softness of the spin, the way warm, moist air curls upward inside the cloud, like steam rising from a calm cup of tea. What makes a mesocyclone so gentle in its early form is that it's a structure of harmony. The air isn't colliding, it's cooperating. The rising draft is strong, but not violent. The rotation is present, but not hurried. Everything flows together in balance. This doesn't mean the storm will become severe. Most mesocyclones never produce anything more than heavy rain and occasional lightning. But their presence marks a special kind of order, a storm that has learned how to spin. And while the word cyclone might sound intense, here it's just a term for turning, a curl in the sky, a soft spiral made visible only through the whisper of moving vapor. As you settle deeper into rest, imagine being inside that cloud, floating upward within the mesocyclone's embrace. No pressure, no sound, just slow, spiraling lift. the hush of moisture condensing around you, the gentle guidance of wind, and at the center, stillness. The mesocyclone is not a warning, it's a wonder, a softly turning heart, held aloft by warmth and wind, a quiet signal that the storm has become something more. Not dangerous, just deeply organized. Let your thoughts rotate gently now, and drift with the spiral. Beneath every sky and every cloud, the earth is quietly turning. Not fast enough to notice in a single moment, but steady, constant, unseen yet always present. And from that rotation comes something subtle, a slight tug on the air, a graceful nudge that encourages winds to curve instead of traveling straight. This is the Coriolis effect. It may sound technical, but at its heart, it's simply a whisper from the Earth, a reminder that the planet itself is moving, and that motion influences everything above it. As air moves across the globe, from high pressure to low, it would travel in straight lines if the planet stood still. But because Earth spins beneath that moving air, the path is bent, just slightly. In the northern hemisphere, winds curve to the right. In the southern hemisphere, to the left. The result isn't sharp or sudden. It's a soft arc, a gentle veer, like a feather drifting sideways as it falls. This effect is especially important for large systems, those that span hundreds of miles. Hurricanes, cyclones, and wide rotating storms all owe part of their spin to the Coriolis effect. But even in smaller storms, this planetary influence is quietly at work. It doesn't force anything to rotate. It simply favors it, encourages it, adds just a touch of curve to the breeze. You could think of it as the Earth's signature on every gust of wind. And what's beautiful is that this spin never ceases. Even as you sleep, the planet turns, clouds drift, air glides across continents, and Coriolis gently guides it all. It's not something we feel, it's not something we hear, but it's there, shaping the pathways of storms, helping to organize systems, and bringing a subtle elegance to the way air flows through the sky. In our story of rotating clouds, the Coriolis effect plays a quiet role. Not the lead, but an essential background character, helping winds turn just enough, helping structure form just so. Together with wind shear and rising air, it adds another layer of grace to the atmosphere's movement. So tonight, as you rest, picture the Earth slowly spinning beneath you. A slow, calm rotation that cradles you with every turn. And above, the winds respond, curving gently in rhythm. There's something comforting about that, isn't there? That even the chaos of weather is touched by something so patient, so smooth, so inevitable. The Coriolis effect reminds us that motion doesn't need to be loud. It can be soft and still shape the sky. Let the world turn gently beneath your dreams. Let the air curl softly above your thoughts, and let your breath follow the curve as you drift further into calm. As we drift deeper into the sky's slow ballet, let's pause to observe a graceful pattern that reveals itself again and again. A familiar motion that repeats across storms, pressure systems, and clouds in motion. In the northern hemisphere, most storms spin counterclockwise. It's not a rule imposed by force. It's a rhythm, gentle, persistent, and beautifully consistent. From the smallest rotating low pressure systems to the grand sweep of cyclones, the air flows inward, and as it does, it turns, not in straight lines, but in curves, arcs, spirals, and more often than not, that spiral turns to the left, counterclockwise, like the soft unwind of a slow-moving clock, reversed. Why does the sky turn this way? The answer, softly nestled within the laws of motion, comes back to something we explored before, the Coriolis effect. As Earth spins on its axis, it nudges moving air, encouraging it to curve. In the northern hemisphere, this nudge deflects winds to the right. So, when air flows toward an area of low pressure, it doesn't arrive in a straight path, it curves around it. The result is a counterclockwise spin. But we don't need to memorize the mechanics tonight. Let's just picture it. Imagine looking down from far above, watching a storm system gather its strength over land or sea. Wisps of cloud begin to rotate, slowly tracing circles. They sweep inward and around, painting spirals across the sky with vapor and mist. There's no harshness in this turning, no hurry, just balance, just the sky responding to the planet's spin in the most graceful way it can. Even the word counterclockwise carries a kind of quiet poetry when applied to clouds. It suggests a motion that is thoughtful, gentle, flowing backward through time, a soft defiance of straight lines. And it's not just one type of storm. Tropical cyclones, extratropical lows, and large thunderstorm systems all turn this way when they form in the northern hemisphere. They may differ in size and structure, but they share this elegant spiral, this common language written in air. In the southern hemisphere, things are mirrored. The spin turns clockwise there, but the principle is the same. A balanced turning, shaped not by chaos, but by the calm, steady rotation of the Earth. You could say the sky listens to the planet beneath it, and responds with a spin. Tonight, as you settle deeper into rest, imagine that counterclockwise swirl, not as a storm, but as a lullaby drawn in wind. A soft spiral you could follow with your eyes closed, drifting inward, turning slowly toward stillness. There is beauty in patterns, and peace in knowing the sky follows a rhythm that has never rushed, a rhythm that continues whether or not we're watching. So let the spin be your companion now, a slow circle in the dark, always turning, always calm. Some clouds make their intentions known with grandeur, tall, bold, illuminated by evening light. Others keep their secrets close. There are clouds that spin, yet never show it on the surface. Their shapes may appear still, but inside, something is turning, quietly, gently, gracefully. These are the towering thunderheads with hidden rotations. We often think of thunderstorms as straightforward, rising columns of warm, moist air that build into anvil-shaped clouds. But inside some of these, a deeper motion unfolds. Air not only rises, it twists as it climbs, spiraling upward in soft columns of turning vapor. You may not see the rotation from below. The outer edges of the cloud might appear calm, but within, a slow whirl moves like a dancer behind a curtain. This inner spin, often part of a mesocyclone, is subtle. The cloud rises high into the atmosphere, sometimes stretching miles above the Earth. Within this vast space, the updraft begins to rotate, aligning with wind shear and the planet's curve. The result is a storm that doesn't just grow, it spirals. It's like watching steam rise from a quiet cup, only to realize the steam itself is swirling softly on its way up. The atmosphere is layered, and each layer offers a different temperature, pressure, and motion. As the warm air ascends, it moves through these layers, curving ever so slightly. With time and just the right conditions, this curve turns to spin, and the cloud becomes not just tall, but dynamic. From a distance, you might see the hint of curvature, a bulge here, a subtle twist in the flow there. But much of the motion remains hidden in vapor, invisible and beautiful. It's one of the sky's quietest tricks, how rotation can live inside a cloud without declaring itself. And still, the storm continues to build. Rising motion brings moisture into colder altitudes, where it condenses into droplets and ice crystals. These particles dance on the air's spiral path, drawn upward with elegance and ease. The cloud grows wider, taller, more complex, and all the while, the spin deepens. But remember, not all clouds that spin become dangerous. Many simply swirl and release their rain. No lightning, no drama. Just a quiet cycle of air in motion, a moment of balance between wind and lift. As you lie back tonight and imagine a thunderhead on the horizon, picture not a threat, but a sculpture, a cathedral of air and water, drawn upward by warmth, turned gently by shear, filled with silent spirals. It's comforting to know that even large storms can carry their power in whispers. You don't have to see the spin to feel the structure. You don't have to name the rotation to sense the calm it holds. Some clouds turn in secret, and sometimes that's where the poetry lives. At the heart of many swirling skies is something quiet, something we can't see or touch, but that shapes the motion of the clouds above us. It is low pressure, and it doesn't shout, it draws. When meteorologists talk about pressure, they're speaking about the weight of the air. High pressure means more air is pressing down on the surface. Low pressure means the air above is lighter, less dense, more ready to rise. And rise it does. Low pressure becomes an invitation to the atmosphere. It gently pulls the surrounding air inward, toward its center, like a soft breath being drawn into the sky. And once the air begins to move inward, it can't help but start to curve. Not because something forces it to, but because the planet is already turning. As air rushes toward the center of a low-pressure area, it doesn't arrive in straight lines. It bends, it spirals. The Earth's gentle spin nudges it into rotation, and suddenly, that inward draw becomes a circular flow. You could imagine it like water circling a drain, but in reverse. Instead of falling downward, the air is being lifted upward. The surface air, drawn in from all directions, swirls into the center and begins to rise. This rising air is usually warm, full of moisture, and eager to climb. As it lifts, it cools, condenses, and forms clouds. The kind that build into great towers with slow rotation wrapped inside. Low pressure is often where storms begin, but not because it's dramatic or sudden. Rather, it's because low pressure allows air to move, to rise, to turn, to transform. Picture a calm evening sky where the pressure begins to drop. You can't feel it immediately. There's no sudden change, but slowly the air responds. Winds begin to shift. Breezes are pulled gently toward a growing center. And above it all, clouds gather, spun softly into graceful spirals. It's important to remember that low pressure itself isn't dangerous. It's simply a condition, a starting point, a place where the atmosphere breathes in and begins to move. And when that movement aligns with other elements, warmth, moisture, wind shear, and time, a storm may form. But it does so with quiet choreography, a flow that curves, ascends, and expands like a dance across the sky. Tonight, as you close your eyes, think of low pressure not as a system, but as a moment of invitation, a pause in the atmosphere where everything begins to move towards center, a slow pull inward, a soft lift upward, a circular breath that shapes the storm from within. Even the strongest forces can begin in silence, and even the sky responds most gently when the pressure is just right. Not all storms are born from chaos. Many begin with grace, formed not by sudden violence, but by patient patterns, soft changes in pressure, subtle contrasts in temperature, shifts so quiet they can go unnoticed until the sky begins to turn. In meteorology, we often focus on energy, on speed, intensity, extremes. But when we step back and soften our gaze, we discover that many of the most powerful patterns are shaped by the gentlest forces. Warm air rises, not abruptly, but naturally, like a sigh from the earth. Cool air settles, not as a crash, but as a hush, filling in where space is made. Winds shift, not wildly, but steadily, brushing past hills and across plains, shaping the invisible lines of movement above us. And over time, these soft ingredients come together. A storm doesn't need to announce itself with noise. It can gather in silence. It can spin in peace. When the conditions are just right, when the ground is warm, the sky is moist, and the air is moving in delicate harmony, something elegant begins. Columns of air twist upward, rotation aligns with lift, and a storm is born not from turmoil, but from order. It's like watching a slow-moving clock wind itself into place. We often think of weather as unpredictable, but in truth, it follows patterns. Large ones, small ones, repeating shapes drawn in air and time. The spiral is one of the most beautiful. From galaxies to ocean currents, from sunflower seeds to spinning clouds, nature favors the spiral, not because it's dramatic, but because it's efficient, balanced, beautiful. Storms follow that same rule. They don't rush into form. They unfurl, they build, they balance rotation with lift, moisture with cooling, upward drafts with graceful flow. And each movement is part of a larger story. That's the secret of gentle forces. They add up. Over time, they become great patterns. Weather systems that span hundreds of miles. With movements so wide and smooth, you can trace them from space. Yet, their beginnings were quiet, almost unnoticeable. Tonight, let that thought ease your mind, that the air around you is moving, softly, purposefully, that even the clouds are following paths shaped by simple contrasts, warm and cool, high and low, wet and dry. And that storms don't always arrive with noise. Sometimes they spin into being with grace, like a thought becoming a dream, like breath becoming wind. Great patterns, born of gentle hands. Let the idea wrap around you like a spiral cloud, balanced, peaceful, and always in motion. Among the many shapes and sizes that storms can take, one stands apart, not for its noise or intensity, but for its elegance, its structure, its graceful longevity. These are the supercells. They are the quiet giants of the sky, rotating thunderstorms with long lives and beautiful symmetry. And while they can grow immense and powerful, tonight we'll admire them not for their might, but for their slow dance, for the way they turn and keep turning. A supercell is a type of thunderstorm built around rotation, but not just any spin, a deep, organized column of rising, twisting air called a mesocyclone. We visited this idea before, the softly turning heart inside a growing cloud. In a supercell, that heart becomes more than a feature, it becomes the structure itself. Inside the supercell, the air moves in graceful cycles. Warm, moist air is drawn inward at the surface. It rises through the storm's center, spinning gently as it climbs. As the air reaches the top of the storm, often miles above the earth, it spreads outward and cools. Then, as it descends along the backside of the storm, it begins to sink, completing the loop, rising, spreading, sinking, repeating. It's a circulation more than a surge, a slow, rotating engine that allows the storm to maintain its shape for hours, far longer than most clouds of its kind. From a distance, a supercell may look like a towering anvil or a rounded dome. Sometimes, its base develops smooth, layered shelves or curved outflows that seem sculpted by hand. And in a way, they are, sculpted by air and moisture and time. What makes them special isn't just the rotation, but how gracefully everything fits together. The inflow, the updraft, the turning. The storm becomes a system, a self-sustaining ballet of rising and falling air. And yet, it doesn't rush. Even as it grows tall, it moves with patience. Each part flows into the next. The storm breathes, exhales, and spins like a slow-motion spiral drawn across the sky. Not all supercells are severe. Many turn quietly across open fields, releasing rain and light, then drifting away like passing thoughts. Their presence, even when calm, reveals something remarkable, that the sky can build enormous things from delicate ingredients. Warmth, moisture, lift, wind. Nothing more, nothing less. Just harmony. Meteorologists study these storms closely, using radar to trace their turning course. But tonight, we don't need instruments. Just imagination. Just softness. Picture yourself beneath one, at a safe distance, watching the cloud slowly rotate above the horizon. You don't hear thunder. You don't feel wind. You just observe the quiet turning of a structure too vast to grasp, yet too beautiful to ignore. Inside, the air is still dancing, and outside, you rest beneath its rhythm. Supercells are the giants of the spinning sky. But even giants can move with grace, and even storms can be serene. In the language of meteorology, there's a word that describes one of the quietest behaviors in the atmosphere. It doesn't refer to a storm, or a gust, or a cloud, but to something deeper, something gentle, something invisible. That word is vorticity. It may sound complex, but at its heart, it's simply the sky's tendency to turn. Vorticity is not a force. It doesn't push or pull. Instead, it's a way of describing spin, the natural curl of air as it moves through a layered, rotating world. It's present in cyclones and breezes, in eddies behind buildings, and in the spirals inside clouds. Anytime air begins to rotate, even slightly, it carries vorticity. Imagine a leaf caught in a stream. As the water flows, the leaf turns, not because something is spinning it directly, but because the flow around it curves and swirls. That turning motion, that gentle rotation, is a reflection of vorticity in the water. Now imagine the same thing happening in the sky. As winds move through mountains, valleys, or temperature gradients, they begin to curl. Even without storms, the air wants to turn. It responds to differences in pressure, terrain, and the spin of the earth itself. And when that motion becomes curved or twisted, vorticity appears. Some areas of the sky have more of it, others less. And meteorologists track these regions, not just to predict weather, but to understand where clouds may begin to form, where storms might slowly take shape, where the sky might someday begin to spin more deeply. But tonight, we don't need maps or models. We'll just let the idea drift softly through our thoughts. Vorticity is like a hint, a suggestion, a whisper of rotation that moves silently across the sky. It's not always visible, but sometimes you can feel it, like when you watch a small breeze lift a swirl of leaves, or when mist spins gently as it rises from a still pond. These are little moments of atmospheric poetry, and in larger storms, vorticity becomes a building block. It helps organize the rotation of clouds. It adds curl to columns of rising air. It makes the atmosphere more sculpted, more layered, more graceful. But it's never rushed, never loud. Vorticity is the sky's subtle habit, a quiet preference for motion with a twist. So tonight, as you settle in, let your thoughts turn as softly as air with vorticity. Not in wide circles, but in peaceful spirals. Small rotations of calm that build slowly, patiently, and beautifully. You don't need to feel it to know it's there. The sky is always turning, just a little, and sometimes that's all it takes. As we drift deeper into the center of a spinning storm, something elegant unfolds inside the rising column of air. The updraft, the sky's gentle breath, doesn't only lift, it begins to rotate. And as it does, something magical happens. The rotation becomes tighter, more focused. Not because the storm becomes harsh, but because of a quiet principle, one you've likely seen before on ice. Imagine a figure skater, arms outstretched, spinning gently on the rink. As they bring their arms inward, their spin quickens, not from force, but from balance. The same amount of motion, now concentrated in a smaller space, creates a faster turn. The sky behaves in much the same way. As the warm, moist air rises inside a storm, it carries rotation with it, perhaps started by wind shear, perhaps nudged by the planet's spin. And as that column of rotating air stretches higher, the spin becomes narrower. Like the skater pulling their arms inward, the rotation intensifies, not violently, but with graceful efficiency. This is called conservation of angular momentum, a gentle law of motion that allows the sky to spin faster, simply by changing shape. Stretching upward, the turning column of air becomes longer and thinner, and it spins just a bit more swiftly. But don't picture chaos. This is not a wild twist. It's a controlled pirouette, a soft swirl that finds focus. The rotation in the updraft is what gives a storm its backbone. It holds the structure steady, helps clouds grow tall, and gently organizes the air into a self-sustaining spiral. Rising moisture condenses into droplets. Droplets become clouds, and clouds begin to wrap, not around a center, but within the gentle lift of the storm itself. The result isn't always visible from the outside. To the eye, the cloud may appear still, but inside, the air is dancing, climbing and curling, threading upward like vapor in a slow motion spiral. It's peaceful to imagine this structure from within. Rising warmth, air turning like a ribbon. The upward stretch bringing balance and motion together. Even in nature's tallest storms, this quiet principle holds. A little rotation, lifted higher, becomes more defined. And that quiet turn helps shape the storm's entire life. So tonight, let your thoughts rise gently too. Imagine floating upward through the warm center of a cloud, surrounded by soft spirals. Feel the air narrow and curl, not to frighten, but to balance. A twist of grace in a sky full of motion. The updraft doesn't demand attention, it simply turns. And in doing so, it begins the storm's most elegant spin. As air rises in one part of the storm, something just as important happens nearby. Air begins to fall. This is the downdraft. Cooler, heavier air sinking softly through the storm, adding balance to the upward motion. While the updraft climbs, swirling gently toward the heights, the downdraft glides downward like a curtain of rain, returning cooled air to the earth below. But this downward flow isn't separate from the storm's spin. It's part of the pattern, part of the dance. Together, the rising and falling columns form a kind of loop, one ascending, one descending. Warm air lifts and twists, cool air sinks and flows outward. and in between, the storm's rotation is carefully cradled. Rain-cooled air plays a special role here. As precipitation forms near the top of the storm, some of it begins to fall. It pulls cooler air with it, air that's been chilled by evaporation. This air is denser than what surrounds it, and it glides gently downward, carving out a pathway through the storm's heart. When it reaches the surface, it spreads outward. But this spreading motion doesn't just drift, it interacts. It can help shape where new updrafts form. It can help sustain or shift the storm structure. And most importantly, it helps maintain the delicate balance of motion. Without downdrafts, the storm would tip too far upward. Without updrafts, it would collapse. But with both, the system flows, circulates, spins in peace. You can think of it as a weatherful yin and yang. The rising air wants to stretch and swirl. The falling air wants to stabilize and return. And between these gentle opposites, a rotating column of cloud begins to flourish. The downdraft may not seem graceful at first. It carries cool, wet air, often heavy with raindrops. But there's poetry in its presence. It provides the storm with grounding, with rhythm, with a return path for the air that once rose so high. Meteorologists observe how these downdrafts interact with the storm's rotation. A well-balanced storm, one with both strong updrafts and gently descending downdrafts, often lasts longer, rotates more clearly, and moves more smoothly across the landscape. But we don't need to measure tonight. We'll simply imagine the flow. Picture a tall, slow turning cloud. Warm air rising in soft spirals. Cool rain falling in silky curtains. And in between, a quiet equilibrium. A balance not born of struggle, but of agreement. As you drift into rest, think of the storm's breath. Inhale and exhale. Lift and settle. Rise and return. It's not a battle. It's a rhythm. Downdrafts don't fight rotation. They support it. One column climbs, one column falls, and between them, the spin continues. Not all winds touch the ground. Far above us, miles above the rooftops, trees, and open fields, there are winds flowing steadily through the middle layers of the atmosphere. These are the mid-level winds, quiet architects of the storm's structure. You won't feel them on your skin. They don't whistle through leaves or sway tall grass, but they are there, high up in the sky, shaping the very core of a turning storm. Picture the storm as a tall tower of air, reaching upward like a soft column of cloud and motion. At the bottom, near the ground, the air is drawn inward and upward, warm, moist, and spinning. At the top, the upper-level winds spread cloud tops outward, brushing them into graceful anvils. But in the middle, something special happens. The mid-level winds act like a guiding hand, shaping the storm's internal rotation. Not forcefully, but with precision. They influence the direction the storm moves, the tilt of its axis, and how its rising air aligns with its swirling heart. These winds might blow from the southwest, nudging the storm forward, or from the west, gently tipping the structure. Depending on how they flow, they can either stretch the storm's rotation, or help it coil tighter, like a soft winding ribbon. In this way, mid-level winds help sculpt the mesocyclone, that calm turning center we explored earlier. They support its alignment, allowing it to remain upright, stable, and gently spinning. And yet, they do all this in silence. You'll never hear mid-level winds. You'll never see them with the naked eye. But their influence is everywhere within the storm. They also help with something important: ventilation. Just as a chimney lets warm air escape a home, these middle layer winds help draw spent air out of the storm's core. This prevents the storm from choking on its own breath, so to speak. It allows new, rising air to enter freely, keeping the cycle alive, keeping the rotation smooth and unbroken. If the winds are too strong, they may tear the storm apart. If they are too weak, the storm may stall. But when they are just right, moderate, steady, gently aligned, the result is something balanced, beautiful, a core that rotates not in haste, but in harmony. Imagine being inside a great tall cloud halfway up. Around you, the air moves, not sharply, but in soft spirals. And through the cloud, mid-level winds pass by like a quiet stream within a mountain. They don't disrupt, they steer, they support. These unseen currents don't draw attention, yet they're essential to the life of the storm. So tonight, let them remind us that not all forces are loud. Some are hidden, and yet they shape everything. Mid-level winds are the gentle guides of the sky, invisible hands carving a spiral. Amidst all the movement, the swirling air and the upward spirals, there is, sometimes, a hush, a stillness at the center. Some storms, especially large cyclones and hurricanes, develop what we call an eye. But it's more than a term. It is a moment of calm, held inside a storm that otherwise spins with grace and power. And it is beautiful. From above, the eye looks like a perfect circle, a clearing in the cloud shield, surrounded by thick walls of swirling vapor. It might stretch for miles, bordered by the fiercest part of the storm. Yet inside, the air is quiet, gentle, sometimes eerily so. The winds calm, the rain stops, and the sky opens. Why does this happen? The eye forms when rotation becomes so well organized that the inner air sinks slightly. Remember, rising air cools and condenses, but sinking air does the opposite. It warms and dries. And so, within this narrow core, clouds evaporate, skies clear, and peace returns, if only briefly. The air continues to rotate around the eye, swiftly, in tightly curved paths. But inside, it's like the world holds its breath. If you could float inside that space, you would feel a kind of surreal silence, surrounded by motion, yet untouched, a calm at the heart of a turning world. Meteorologists call this part the eye, and the boundary around it, the eye wall, where the most intense rotation often lives. But tonight, we'll focus not on what circles the eye, but on what lies within, because the existence of the eye tells us something quietly profound, that even within great motion, there can be stillness, that the spiral does not spin from chaos, but from order, from organization, from balance. It reminds us of other natural forms, galaxies, whirlpools, shells, each spinning around a center, each holding quiet at the core. And it's not only hurricanes. Smaller storms sometimes create central calm zones too, regions of lower turbulence, of clearer skies, temporary moments of alignment that hold for a time and then fade, like dreams. The eye doesn't last forever. As the storm moves, so does the structure. The calm may close, the walls may shift, but while it exists, it remains a perfect example of how softness and spin can coexist. So, as you lie in stillness tonight, imagine being inside that center. No rain, no rush, just light wind brushing past, clouds curving around you, and the peace of being held in the eye of the sky. Let the world move, let the air turn, and let the calm hold you. As a rotating storm matures, it often begins to reveal a subtle, elegant structure, one that curves outward in soft ribbons. These are spiral bands, and they are among the quietest signals of the sky's hidden harmony. If you've ever looked at a satellite image of a hurricane or tropical storm, you may have noticed the long arms of cloud and rain that extend from the center. They don't stretch in straight lines, but in graceful arcs, curling gently like the arms of a sleeping galaxy. These spiral bands are not chaotic. They are not wild or scattered. In fact, they are signs of order, evidence that the storm is moving in sync with itself. They form when pockets of warm, moist air are drawn inward toward the low-pressure center of the storm. As this air spirals inward and upward, it condenses into clouds, releasing rainfall in curved lines that gently wrap around the storm's core. From the surface, you might notice passing showers arriving in waves, with breaks in between. From above, these showers trace soft swirls across the earth, like brushstrokes made of water. Each spiral band is a quiet echo of the storm's larger rotation, a smaller circle within a greater spiral. And like dancers moving in a line, they follow the same rhythm, drifting, turning, responding to the invisible music of wind and pressure. They do more than decorate the storm. Spiral bands help it breathe. They transport moisture inward and release energy outward. They keep the system balanced, like a soft tide of rising and falling air. Sometimes, these bands stretch hundreds of miles from the center. Other times, they form closer in, tight coils that spin near the eye. In either case, they offer a glimpse into the storm's structure, and they remind us that even in large, complex weather systems, there is beauty in repetition, in pattern, in the spiral itself. The rotation that began with a whisper, wind shear, warm air, lift, now expresses itself fully, not just in one column, but across the entire cloud system. The storm isn't unraveling, it's settling into its form. Each band, a ribbon of rain. Each curve, a sign that the air is moving with care, not chaos. Even when these bands bring rain to the land below, their motion remains gentle. They swirl past, bringing moments of wind, of mist, of soft showers, and then fading away into silence. Tonight, as you lie in stillness, imagine those curved bands far above the sea, spinning slowly in moonlight. Quiet loops of cloud and vapor, curling inward, then outward again, always returning, always flowing. Spiral bands are not a warning. They are a lullaby, sung in curves, balance made visible in the sky. It's easy to think that when a cloud begins to spin, a tornado must follow. But in truth, most rotating storms never touch the ground. They turn in peace. They swirl in silence. They pass by, complete in their quiet motion. Rotation does not always lead to drama. More often, it simply exists, graceful, suspended, and unseen from below. Inside a supercell, the mesocyclone may be turning for hours. The spiral of air may climb tens of thousands of feet into the atmosphere, sculpting the cloud into majestic towers. And yet, the surface remains untouched. The air turns above, but does not descend. Why is that? Because rotation, by itself, is only one ingredient. For a tornado to form, many elements must align at just the right time and place. There must be lift, instability, moisture, wind shear, and crucially, a mechanism to stretch and concentrate the rotation downward, toward the earth. But more often than not, those ingredients remain gently out of sync, and the rotation stays aloft, peaceful, harmless, beautiful. You can think of it like a ballet performed on a suspended stage. All the motion, the elegance, the spirals, without ever stepping down. Some clouds even develop visible rotation near their base. You might see a slow turning wall cloud, or the gentle circulation of rising air. These can look dramatic, but many simply turn and drift away, never reaching toward the surface, never becoming anything more than a memory of motion. In fact, rotation without tornadoes is a sign of a healthy atmosphere, one that knows how to move, how to release energy, how to spin without straining. It's easy to forget that spinning clouds are natural. They are not rare. They are not signs of trouble. They are part of the atmosphere's vocabulary, the sky expressing itself in curves. And those curves are everywhere, in shelf clouds sweeping the horizon, in gentle curls of cumulus at sunset, in the lazy turn of a passing low. Each of these holds rotation. None of them hold danger. So tonight, let go of the idea that spinning must mean storm. Let go of the tension that spirals must bring risk. Instead, let them be what they are: soft motion, suspended, turning air that never touches down. Picture a storm far away, rotating high in the sky, a towering cloud sculpted by wind and warmth. Its center spins, its spiral breathes, but the earth below is quiet. You lie beneath it, safe, still, listening. The rotation continues, not to frighten, but to fascinate, not to descend, but to stay aloft. Some storms spin and then simply pass, and sometimes that's the most beautiful part. Before a storm can begin to turn, before air can spiral or clouds can rise into towers, the atmosphere must be given something simple, something soft and essential: warmth and moisture. These are the true sources of energy in a storm, not explosive, not aggressive, but deeply nourishing, the quiet fuels that make rotation possible. It begins on the ground. The sun warms the surface, soil, water, grass, rooftops. That warmth then rises, not in a rush, but in waves of invisible motion. Alongside it comes moisture, evaporated from lakes, drawn from wet soil, breathed upward from leaves. Warm air, when laced with moisture, becomes buoyant. It's lighter than the cooler, drier air above. And so it begins to lift. But it doesn't lift alone. It carries energy, and as it climbs, it gives that energy back to the sky. As the air rises, it cools, and with cooling comes condensation, water vapor turning into tiny droplets. Each time this happens, a small amount of heat is released into the surrounding air. This release, known as latent heat, is subtle but powerful. It helps the rising air continue its journey upward, creating lift and supporting the formation of clouds. This is the gentle engine that allows rotation to grow, because turning air by itself isn't enough. It needs to be held up, fed, sustained, and that support comes from warm, moist air flowing in at the surface, continuously feeding the updraft with quiet purpose. Imagine a soft stream of invisible vapor rising into the base of a storm. It doesn't shout, it doesn't flash, but it carries all the ingredients needed for structure to form, clouds to build, rotation to stretch, towers to grow. Moisture brings depth, warmth brings lift, and together they bring balance. Without moisture, a storm cannot breathe. Without heat, it cannot rise. And without rising motion, the spiral cannot take shape. Even the most majestic rotating storms, those with mesocyclones, spiral bands, and towering cloud columns, depend on something as simple as warmth near the surface and a steady supply of humid air. It's a beautiful reminder of how softness builds strength, how something as delicate as vapor can help shape the sky. You may not always feel the moisture in the air, but it's there, waiting to rise. And when conditions are just right, it does so gently, steadily, lifting rotation with it. So tonight, imagine the storm as something hungry, but patient, feeding not on chaos, but on warmth, sustained not by force, but by moisture. The air rises, the spiral forms, and the sky turns with quiet grace, all because of what's carried upward and the warmth that holds it there. If you've ever watched a storm build on the horizon, you may have noticed its shape. Not always upright, not always symmetrical. Sometimes the cloud seems to lean, to tilt slightly with the wind, to rise at an angle, like a twisting ribbon stretched across the sky. This tilt is no accident. It's a quiet gift from the wind itself. As air rises in a growing storm, it moves through layers of the atmosphere, each with its own temperature, speed, and direction. These are the winds at different heights, and when they change steadily with altitude, the storm begins to tilt. The rising air, instead of forming a vertical column, is nudged ever so gently to the side. The result is a structure that bends, one that spirals, like a column of steam caught in a breeze, or a soft twist of fabric floating through air. This bending is essential to rotation, because when the updraft tilts, it lifts rotation with it, turning a horizontal roll of air into a vertical spin. It's a bit like tipping a spinning coin on its edge. The motion is still there, but now it's aligned with the rising motion of the storm. Tilt helps keep the structure alive too. If the rising air stayed perfectly vertical, it might collide with the falling downdraft, choking the storm. But a tilted tower separates those flows, allowing warm air to rise on one side, while cool rain descends on the other. The storm becomes balanced, organized, able to sustain itself longer. From a distance, these tilted towers look like sculptures, impossibly tall, curved with the wind, lit from within by soft flashes and/or glowing dusk light. They don't rush upward. They grow, slowly pulled toward the upper winds, sculpted by shear, guided by rotation. Inside, air is rising in spirals. Outside, the cloud appears to lean, almost as if bowing to the wind. It's a graceful form, one that hints at structure, at movement, at something more than simple convection. These tilted towers are some of the most iconic features of rotating storms. They speak of wind shear, of alignment, of the sky's natural ability to organize itself in beauty. And yet, they remain peaceful, even in motion, even in power. They lean, they lift, they turn. Tonight, let your mind follow the curve of a storm silhouette. Watch the vapor rise, not straight, but gently tilted, carried by wind, cradled by rotation, like a slow twist of fabric, lifted toward the stars. As a supercell slowly turns across the horizon, it may begin to gather a feature near its base, something low, wide, and quietly majestic. A wall cloud. Its name may sound firm, but in truth, a wall cloud is soft in motion and graceful in presence. It hangs like a gentle breath beneath the main cloud base, lowered, slow turning, and full of quiet purpose. A wall cloud is not a storm itself, but a signature of what the storm is doing deep within. It's a hint, a visual whisper, a sign that the updraft, the rising engine of the storm, is focused and strong, gently pulling moist, warm air upward into its rotating core. From a distance, the wall cloud appears darker than the surrounding sky. It forms beneath the rain-free base of a supercell, often to one side of the main precipitation shaft. It may look like a hanging shelf, or a soft, smooth lowering. And if the storm is rotating, this feature may slowly spin too, curling with deliberate stillness. Wall clouds form when the rising air in the updraft is particularly moist. As the air is drawn upward, the pressure beneath it drops slightly, allowing moisture to condense more easily, and form a lowered cloud base. When that updraft also carries rotation, the wall cloud may begin to turn slowly, calmly, like a gentle wheel suspended in the sky. This rotation can feel mesmerizing, not fast, not frightening, just present. The entire mass may turn as one, slow and steady, like a thought circling in air. And yet, it's not always a sign of danger. Many wall clouds form, rotate softly, and then drift away, never producing anything more than rain. They're not warnings, but expressions. They show us that the storm is balanced, that it has developed structure and organization, that the spin has found a place to gather and gently turn. If the conditions are perfect, wall clouds may be the birthplace of a tornado. But in most cases, they are simply the sky showing its architecture. The spiral made visible, the updraft made tangible. There's something peaceful about watching one from afar. You might see birds flying beneath it, trees swaying softly, the rotation above, quiet and unbroken, like a carousel made of mist. It reminds us that even powerful storms have a center of grace. So tonight, picture that calm lowering beneath a storm. Imagine its edges blending with the cloud base above, its shape carved by rising moisture, its motion slow and circular. Feel the pull, not of fear, but of fascination, the draw of the sky revealing just a little more of itself. The wall cloud is not a wall at all. It is an opening, a window into the spiral, and a dance suspended in air. There's something about a storm near sunset. As the day draws to a close, the light softens. The sun hangs lower in the sky, and clouds, especially those that turn, begin to catch the fading glow in the most tender ways. This is the hour when rotation reveals its beauty, when spirals become shadows, when curls of vapor catch amber light and move like fabric caught in a breeze. Even a modest storm, nearing the end of its journey, can become luminous at dusk. Its towers, once hidden in the brightness of midday, now glow in pastel hues, pinks, oranges, and purples stitched across its surface like watercolor. And within this light, the storm's structure becomes easier to see. Rotating clouds may display their arcs more clearly, their layers more defined. You might notice small curves near the base, gentle bands arching across the flanks, a soft twist rising toward the crown. These features were there all along, but now, at sunset, they appear like whispers etched in gold. It's not that the rotation increases, it's that the shadows stretch, the contrast sharpens. The light, now horizontal, paints each spiral in profile. And so, the storm becomes sculpture. From a still field or quiet hill, you might watch the base of a supercell turn gently, not spinning fast, but moving deliberately, calmly. A slow arc of motion, cradled in color, a curl of cloud lit from below, and it feels peaceful. Even the wind may settle during these moments. The day cooling, the earth exhaling, and above it all, the clouds continue their slow spiral, framed by the golden hour. These twilight moments are beloved by storm watchers and sky lovers alike, not for drama, but for quiet clarity. It's a time when the sky seems to say, "Here, let me show you what I've made." Meteorologists might note the structure, the tilt, the rotation, but you don't need instruments to see the beauty. Just soft eyes, just stillness, and the understanding that this is a story told in color and curve. As night draws closer, the glow fades. The storm may dissolve, its spirals loosen, the light dims. But for that one moment, at the edge of day, you saw the turn. Not loud, not bold, just graceful. So tonight, imagine a sky just past golden, a cloud moving in slow arcs, a breeze that no longer stirs, and a rotation you can trace with your eyes and your breath. Sunset doesn't end the spin, it illuminates it, and for a moment, the sky spirals in silence, wrapped in warmth. As storm clouds rise and rotate, there is often another presence, woven deep within, silent at first, then electric, lightning, not loud, not jarring here, just soft flickers, dancing gently within the spiral. Even in a rotating storm, especially in one, lightning moves with grace. It's not always a sharp bolt racing to the ground. Sometimes it lives within the cloud itself, illuminating the structure from the inside. A slow pulse, a breath of light. Inside a supercell or spinning thundercloud, strong updrafts lift water droplets and ice crystals high into the colder parts of the atmosphere. Collisions begin. Particles rub, bounce, and separate. And with them, electric charge begins to build. This charge doesn't scatter randomly, it organizes. Lighter particles tend to rise, carrying positive charge. Heavier ones drift downward, taking negative charge with them. The result is a quiet tension, a separation of forces hidden inside the storm's graceful swirl. And when that tension becomes too great, it resolves itself in a flash. The lightning may travel downward, or sideways, or branch softly through the center of the cloud, curving gently with the storm's spiral. It might last only a moment, but within that flicker, the storm reveals its form, its rotation briefly outlined in glowing threads. You may see it through a curtain of rain, flashing behind misty layers. Or you might glimpse it in a quiet moment between gusts, when the world goes still and the sky lights up from within. Sometimes the lightning is sheet-like, a diffuse shimmer across the cloud base. Other times, it's a slow crawl across the anvil top, a spidering motion that traces the upper winds. But often, in rotating storms, it seems to echo the spiral itself, dancing in arcs, wrapping in rhythm with the turn. It's peaceful to watch from a distance. You don't need thunder, just the light, just the moment. Each flash is a quiet map, a way to see the storm's interior without entering it. A temporary X-ray, drawn in brightness and shadow. And within that brief light, the rotation becomes visible, not imagined, but gently outlined. It reminds us that the storm is alive, breathing, turning, balancing its forces in silence, and sometimes in spark. And just as the air rises and the moisture spins, so too does the energy build and flow, always seeking release. Not to alarm, but to balance. A gentle restoration of order. Tonight, imagine that flicker. A cloud, tall and turning. A spiral drawn in vapor. And then, quietly, a light within. Soft, silent, weaving through the curve. Lightning doesn't disrupt the spin. It dances with it. And for a moment, the sky glows from within itself. Rain, when it falls, doesn't always fall straight. Especially within a rotating storm, precipitation follows the flow. It spirals, wrapping softly around the storm's center, curving downward in elegant arcs, like threads drawn into a whirl. This is one of the most beautiful signs of organized rotation. Not chaos, not collapse, but order made, visible in water. As the storm turns, fed by warm air rising and cool air descending, moisture condenses into droplets. Some begin to fall, but they don't just drop downward. They move with the wind, and in a rotating storm, that wind curves, gently and steadily. So the rain follows. Instead of falling in columns, it traces spirals. You might see bands of precipitation arcing across the sky, leaning sideways, turning inward. This is called rain wrapping, and it's a signature of structure. Often, the rain begins to wrap around the mesocyclone, the spinning core of a supercell. The heaviest precipitation may start on the storm's flank, then drift inward as the rotation tightens. In time, this rain may begin to enclose the center itself, forming a moist spiral that hugs the storm's heart. It's not harsh, it's not hurried, it's the atmosphere drawing a circle with water. This wrapping of rain helps define the storm's boundaries. It tells us where the rotation is strongest, where the updraft lifts, and where the downdraft descends. It becomes a visible lacework of motion, tracing the balance between lift and fall, heat and cool, spin and stillness. To an observer, it's mesmerizing. From afar, you may see curved curtains of rain sweeping sideways across the landscape, smooth and steady, wrapping around a central point, like a shawl drawn around the shoulders of the sky. Sometimes the wrapping is partial, a gentle arc. Other times it becomes complete, encircling the core entirely. And though this may obscure what's inside, it also reveals the storm's maturity. It shows that the spiral has deepened, that the motion is strong, yet smooth. In some cases, this wrapping rain also plays a role in cooling the surface, shifting winds, and subtly shaping the storm's life cycle. But tonight, we won't focus on mechanics. We'll simply admire the shape it creates. Rain wrapping tells a story, not of downfall, but of rhythm. It follows the spiral. It hugs the spin. It drifts, flows, encircles, always in motion, always balanced. Imagine standing beneath it, not in the storm itself, but nearby, watching the arcs of rain move sideways across the sky, gentle and curved, like brushstrokes on a grey canvas. You might not feel a drop, but you'd see the spin. The rain reveals what the air is doing, and what the air is doing is dancing. Tonight, let your thoughts wrap softly, like the rain around the storm's core, curving, turning, falling in peace. There's something magical about seeing the earth from far above. When viewed from space, the atmosphere reveals patterns too vast to notice from the ground. And among the most beautiful are the spirals. Rotating storms, captured by satellite, become slow-moving sculptures. Vast circles of cloud, turning across the sea or land, shaped like nautilus shells or galaxies. Their elegance is unmistakable. From this distance, there's no sound, no thunder, no rain, just form. The satellite doesn't see emotion or urgency, it sees shape, motion, balance. A low-pressure system over the ocean may appear as a delicate swirl of soft white, spinning counterclockwise in the northern hemisphere. The clouds spiral inward, pull gently toward the center. Wide arms stretch outward, curving over hundreds of miles. There's a softness to their edges, a kind of watercolor smoothness, fading at the margins. Sometimes it's a tropical cyclone, strong and symmetrical. Other times, it's a winter storm spinning quietly over the plains. But regardless of scale, the shape is unmistakable, a spiral drawn in cloud and sky. And it's peaceful. These storms rotate not from sudden force, but from the gradual balance of wind, pressure, and the Earth's spin. From space, you can see that balance. You can see how the clouds organize themselves, folding gently into loops and curls. It's like watching the sky exhale in slow motion. Even smaller storms, like supercells, can show hints of rotation from above. Though not as wide, their spirals are still visible, subtle curves in the upper cloud layers, arcs of moisture trailing behind. Some look like slowly turning wheels, others like brushstrokes made of vapor. There's a clarity in this distant view, a sense that all the pieces fit together, not chaotically, but like a pattern unfolding. Meteorologists use these satellite images to understand storm behavior. They observe structure, temperature, and movement. But tonight, we'll simply appreciate them as art. Imagine floating above the Earth, gently orbiting, watching the clouds below turn like a living painting. A spiral storm over the ocean, bands of moisture sweeping toward the center. The eye, calm and round, nestled in the middle like a pearl. You're far from the surface now. There's no noise, just motion, and that motion is soft. The storm turns, not with violence, but with geometry, with grace, with the quiet rhythm of a system in balance. Let your thoughts spiral gently now, not downward, but outward, like clouds unfolding across an endless sky. From space, the world doesn't rush. It rotates and rests. Not all signs of storm rotation are visible to the eye. Some are whispered in patterns, traced in signals, revealed quietly by radar. One of the most delicate signs, a gentle signature of motion, is the hook echo. It doesn't flash or roar. It doesn't appear in the sky like a bolt of lightning or a towering cloud. Instead, it reveals itself in curved shapes on a radar screen, a subtle bend, a soft hook drawn in data. Radar works by sending pulses of energy into the sky, then measuring how those pulses bounce off raindrops, hail, or snow. The result is a picture, not of what the sky looks like, but of how precipitation moves within it. And when rotation forms inside a storm, especially within a supercell, this motion can begin to wrap precipitation around the updraft. As rain curves around the storm's core, the radar begins to pick up that shape. A curled arm, a gentle hook. It's not sharp or abrupt. It curls like a soft wave, a trailing spiral that curves inward toward the storm's center. To a trained eye, the hook echo says, "Something is turning here," but it says it softly. Not all hook echoes mean a tornado is forming. Many appear simply because the storm is rotating in a balanced, beautiful way. The rain wraps around the updraft, just as we explored before, and the radar, so precise, so quiet, paints that spiral for us to see. It's a reminder that technology too can be poetic. Imagine a radar image slowly refreshing. Bright patches of color shift and evolve. And there, tucked into one side of a supercell, a curve begins to appear. Not dramatic, not large, just a whisper of spin, looping back toward the core. It's like the sky leaving a signature. The hook echo, in this light, becomes a brushstroke, a symbol, a mark of balance made visible through reflection. And for those watching in calm, it's a quiet marvel, because it means that even where the eye can't reach, rotation continues. Invisible spirals still shape the rain, still wrap the wind, still curve around a quiet center. You may never see a hook echo in person, but tonight you can imagine it, not as a warning, but as a curve, a gentle turn drawn in silence. It tells us the air is spinning here, not loudly, not fiercely, but steadily. Let your thoughts curve like that tonight, around center, around motion, around the quiet shape of something softly turning. Storms, like stories, don't unfold all at once. They rise, they deepen, they move in parts. And when a storm begins to rotate, it doesn't spin in just one place. Rotation becomes layered, a dance between heights, a vertical performance in the atmosphere, with each level moving to its own quiet rhythm. Near the ground, low-level winds might drift from the southeast. Soft, warm, and moist, they flow inward, feeding the storm's base with gentle lift. Just above that, in the mid-levels, winds might blow from the west, stronger, cooler, drier. And farther aloft, at the highest levels, upper winds race along from a different direction still, carving the storm's shape from above, each layer moving, each height turning, but none exactly the same. This is where the choreography begins. When these layers align just right, when their movements combine in harmony, the storm becomes structured, elegant, capable of lasting longer, spinning deeper, and sustaining its quiet rhythm. Rotation isn't forced, it's allowed. Think of it like dancers on a stage, layered above one another. Each one moves independently, but together they form something greater, something mesmerizing. Low-level rotation helps draw air inward and up. Mid-level rotation stabilizes the core, giving it shape. Upper-level rotation pulls moisture outward, spreading the cloud tops into soft anvil-like forms. The entire storm breathes in, spirals, top to bottom, ground to sky. This vertical structure is what allows supercells to thrive. It's what gives a storm depth, not just in size, but in behavior. You might see the base rotating one way, while higher clouds turn subtly in another. Yet together, it flows. What's remarkable is how smooth it can be. These layers don't collide, they complement. The turning isn't chaotic, it's fluid, like water flowing in layers through a river, like silk moving in slow waves across air. And all of this is invisible, unless you know how to look. Sometimes you can spot these layered turns in time-lapse footage. You'll notice the base turning one way, while streaks higher up curl in another. Other times, radar detects the motion, revealing wind at different heights, aligning to form a deep, layered vortex. But you don't need instruments tonight. You can simply imagine standing beneath one of these layered dancers. The air around you still. The clouds above you twirling, gently in tiers, like a sky moving in 3 soft circles, stacked upon one another, whispering in motion. It's a reminder that storms are not only powerful, they are coordinated, and rotation is not just a twist, but a layered waltz between heights. So tonight, let your breath follow that rhythm. Inhale low, exhale high. Picture the air turning softly from ground to sky, a spiral that climbs, a dance between layers. Sometimes, after a storm turns, the air keeps moving, not in gusts, not in thunder, but in ripples, soft, slow, barely visible waves that echo outward from the heart of the spiral. These are gravity waves, not the kind that bend time and space, but the kind that gently ripple through the lower atmosphere, a subtle balancing act between gravity and buoyancy, triggered by rising motion within storms. When a rotating storm pushes upward, when air is lifted fast and far into the cooler regions above, it disturbs the layers of the atmosphere. The surrounding air tries to settle, to regain its balance, and in doing so, it begins to oscillate, like a pond settling after a pebble has been dropped. These oscillations become gravity waves. Now, picture those waves moving outward from the storm in quiet spirals, faint rings, soft curls, like the air itself is remembering the rotation and sighing it back out into the sky. From the ground, we rarely notice them, but sometimes, just before sunrise or just after sunset, under the right conditions, they appear as long, delicate bands in the clouds, rippled layers stretching across the horizon in smooth, repeating lines. It's as if the atmosphere has paused and then breathed outward. And when a rotating storm is involved, those waves can take on spiral forms, wrapping gently around the storm's core, echoing its shape in the sky. They may drift far beyond the storm's reach, curling softly over distant fields, or brushing across moonlit clouds miles away. Meteorologists observe these patterns and satellite imagery. They see the arcs, the bands, the swirls, and they know something rose here, something spun, and now the sky is settling, speaking in waves. But for us tonight, there's no need for data. Just picture the spiral continuing, long after the storm has passed, like soft rings on a sleeping lake. The air carries the memory of the storm, not with sound, but with pattern, and the spiral continues, not to warn, but to whisper, to remind us that motion lingers, that even after the clouds move on, their shape leaves a trace. So let your thoughts ripple gently tonight. Let them follow the spiral waves, outward, soothing, slow. Gravity waves are the atmosphere's lullaby, the sky's way of sighing, and if you listen closely, you can feel them too. Not all rotation in the sky is hidden. Sometimes it paints itself across the clouds, rolling, curling, billowing softly, each shape a response to the air beneath it. Mammatus, scud, shelf clouds, each one formed by different processes, and yet each can whisper of rotation, gently echoed in vapor. Let's begin with mammatus clouds, those strange, pouch-like formations that sometimes appear beneath the anvil of a thunderstorm. They look like upside-down bubbles or soft dimples in the sky, gently swelling and sinking in rhythmic patterns. Though they don't spin on their own, they often form in environments where rotation is already present aloft. Their smooth, pendulous texture suggests turbulence, turning, and delicate downward motion. Clouds shaped not by stillness, but by movement. Then there are scud clouds, ragged wisps that often hang low near the storm's base. They may seem chaotic, drifting quickly and shifting in shape, but sometimes they rotate, softly, subtly. These low fragments of condensation are pulled into the storm's updraft, and in areas of organized rotation, they may begin to spin slowly as they rise. To the calm observer, they appear like trailing veils, drawn into a spiral dance just above the ground. Scud doesn't form the storm's core, but it listens to it. It follows the rhythm. And finally, there are shelf clouds, broad, horizontal formations that stretch across the front edge of a storm. They arrive like waves of cloud, often dark and defined, sometimes with curled edges that roll inward like the lip of a wave. Though not always indicators of strong rotation, shelf clouds form in response to wind, cool downdrafts meeting warm inflow, and that collision can create gentle roll patterns, hints of spin layered across the sky. To see one stretch across the horizon is to witness a kind of boundary being drawn, the breath of the storm arriving in slow, curling form. These types of clouds, mammatus, scud, shelf, are not tornadoes. They are not warnings, but they can reflect the deeper currents within the storm. They tell us that air is moving, not straight, but with curvature, with rhythm, with a quiet kind of choreography. From the ground, watching them can feel dreamlike. Mammatus glowing orange at sunset, scud drifting low, twirling slowly in the twilight. Shelf clouds curling across the sky like a blanket being laid down. They are the storm's softer language. They do not roar, they do not strike, they show. So tonight, as you close your eyes, imagine clouds, not as still things, but as dancers. Each one shaped by the turn of the air beneath, each one rolling and curling in response to wind, moisture, and the memory of motion. These clouds are not separate from the spin, they are its expression, and the sky is painting in spirals. Most of the time, rotation in the sky is silent. It forms in air that moves without friction. It lifts gently. It spins above us, hidden in cloud and wind. But sometimes, in just the right moment, you can hear it. To some, a rotating storm carries a sound, a deep, low hum that seems to rise from the very ground. A distant roar, a subtle rhythm in the wind. Not always sharp or loud, but steady, like the sky breathing with a slow pulse. It may begin as a murmur, a deepening of the usual wind, a change in pitch. You might hear it before you see anything, just a soft growl, rising from far away, low and steady, like a train on a distant track. But unlike thunder, it doesn't crack. It continues. It holds. This sound, if it comes at all, is not always present. Many rotating storms pass quietly, with no noise but the patter of rain or the rustle of breeze. But under just the right conditions, the shape of the storm, the flow of the air, and the compression of the wind can combine to create tone, rotation, expressed in sound. And the sound is rarely frightening. More often, it's felt rather than heard. A vibration, a heaviness, a pressure shift in the air around you. Some say you feel it in your chest. Others say it surrounds you, like the sky has begun to hum. In large, rotating supercells, this low-frequency sound may be the byproduct of inflow meeting, downdraft of rising air wrapped in curl. Sometimes it's channeled by valleys, echoed by trees, or shaped by open fields. The result is a tone that holds its shape, a soft voice of the atmosphere, speaking in resonance. And while this sound has been studied, charted, even recorded, it remains mysterious, fleeting, often missed. But for those who notice it, it's unforgettable, because in that quiet hum, the storm reveals itself, not in sight, not in pressure, but in sound. Tonight, imagine standing beneath a sky where the wind carries rhythm, not a howl, not a shriek, just a smooth tone, like a cello playing a single note beneath the clouds. Feel the weight of that note settle over the land. Let it pass through you, not as warning, but as wonder, because even in sound, the storm can be soft. Rotation doesn't always need to be seen. Sometimes it's heard, a low song, written in wind, a tone that turns. Not because the sky is too fast, but because the way it moves is too delicate to fully appreciate at normal speed. In real time, a rotating cloud might pass quickly across the landscape, its turns subtle, its layers shifting in moments. But when you slow the footage down, everything changes. Suddenly, the air doesn't just move, it glides, it folds in on itself, it curls like silk in water. Slow motion video reveals what the naked eye often misses: the elegance of motion, the softness in structure, the way spiraling air moves not with urgency, but with grace. A wall cloud spins gently, its underside rippling in smooth circles. Scud fragments drift and rise, dancing like fabric in invisible fingers. Even the storm base, so massive, so dense, turns with the ease of smoke. What looked like chaos becomes choreography. And there's something comforting in that revelation. To see motion that once felt mysterious, now slowed into a flowing rhythm. You begin to notice patterns, a curl that repeats, a drift that returns, a pulse that breathes, like the slow inhale of the sky itself. In slow motion, you're not just watching weather. You're watching the atmosphere tell a story of balance, of lift and fall, of invisible lines being drawn and redrawn in air. Some of the most breathtaking footage comes from storm chasers who set their cameras low to the horizon and let time stretch. You can watch 60 seconds become 10 minutes of gentle swirling. Each frame unfolds like a painting in motion. There's no need for narration. The storm speaks through its curves. Even the largest supercell, spanning miles across open fields, moves like a dancer through water when slowed. The inflow tail gently breathes. The mesocyclone completes a full, deliberate turn. The rain bands sweep sideways like brushstrokes. It's hard to imagine anything more peaceful. And what's remarkable is that none of the motion is artificial. It's simply revealed, already there, waiting, hidden in plain sight. It reminds us that storm rotation isn't a burst of force, it's a conversation of air, a negotiation between layers, a spiral unfolding with patience. So tonight, imagine watching the sky through slow motion eyes, clouds turning like soft steam, a shear rising like mist from a still lake, the spin no longer sharp, just fluid. Even if you've never seen a storm like this in person, your imagination can recreate it. Let the frames stretch, let the motion soften, and let the sky slow down, just for you, because in slow motion, rotation becomes a lullaby, a swirl made visible, one breath at a time. When we think of rotating storms, it's easy to picture something wild, something chaotic, something powerful and unpredictable. But the truth is, rotation is often the opposite of chaos. It's structure, it's order, it's the atmosphere finding balance in motion. A rotating storm, especially one with a mesocyclone, is among the most organized systems in the sky. Its air doesn't simply rise and fall. It flows, it loops, it curves in deliberate, graceful paths, guided by temperature, pressure, wind, and the planet's spin. Every part of the storm has a role. The inflow feeds it with warm, moist air. The updraft lifts that air into the sky, stretching and narrowing the spin. Mid-level winds guide the core, steering its structure gently forward, and the downdraft helps return cooled air to the surface, maintaining the cycle. All of this happens in coordination, in balance. Yes, the storm may look dramatic, dark clouds churning, rain sweeping sideways, perhaps even thunder in the distance. But within that appearance is a symmetry, a pattern, a spiral that's more calming than chaotic. Meteorologists marvel at these storms, not because they're violent, but because they're beautiful in form. Even radar imagery reveals it. Curves upon curves, rings within rings, like the design of a seashell or the swirl of a galaxy. It's nature seeking efficiency, not destruction, not disorder. And this is why many rotating storms never cause harm. They rise, spin, drift, and dissolve without ever producing more than rain. They complete their cycle. They balance themselves. They leave behind only cool air and memory. So tonight, as you drift into sleep, let go of the idea that spin means fear. Instead, hold the image of a balanced storm, rotating not in rage, but in rhythm. Picture a calm mesocyclone, slowly turning like a lantern in the sky, a wall cloud circling with poise, clouds folding gently into arcs and loops. This is not chaos. This is harmony. A rotating storm is a sculpture of air. Its spiral a quiet solution to the push and pull of forces above. And when you watch it, or even imagine it, you're not witnessing disorder. You're watching the sky find its center. Let your breath follow that motion now. In, turning, out. Balance between motion and rest. A storm may spin, but at its heart, it's calm. The spiral, the motion in the sky. But deep within the storm's center, something more sculptural takes shape. A meeting of opposites, a quiet exchange between rising and falling air. Together, they form an hourglass. Where air rises in a focused, warm updraft, it narrows. It stretches vertically. It spins more tightly, like a dancer drawing in their arms. Just beneath it, and to the side, rain-cooled air begins to fall. This is the downdraft, and unlike the rising column, it spreads wide as it descends, like a soft curtain of mist returning to the earth. The result is a structure that resembles an hourglass, narrow in the middle, wide above and below. A convergence of lift and fall, spin and stillness, two directions coexisting in harmony. The updraft pulls air upward in a tight, turning column. It is narrow, efficient, and full of momentum. It carries moisture high into the storm, where it cools and condenses into cloud. But that air can't stay aloft forever. Eventually, it returns. And when it does, it descends gently in wider paths, spreading outward as it falls. This isn't chaos, it's circulation, a calm, balanced breath of the sky. The narrow core spins faster. The broader edges flow slower. Together, they maintain the system's equilibrium. Even the shape of the storm echoes this hourglass form, a towering updraft stretching into the troposphere, and below, the spreading gust front, where the downdraft flows out across the land. From above, this balance may be invisible, but from within, it shapes every part of the cloud. The downdraft doesn't oppose the updraft, it completes it, and in doing so, it helps sustain the storm's rotation. It carries cool air outward, which can lift more warm air at the edges, starting the cycle again. A storm that spins with both of these forces in balance can last for hours. And when seen in motion, especially in slow time-lapse, the hourglass effect becomes clear. Up, narrowing, turning, down, widening, settling. It's a motion you can feel in your breath, a natural rhythm. So tonight, imagine that hourglass in the sky, a gentle pull upward and a graceful fall, like the tides of the atmosphere, like the inhale and exhale of a sleeping storm. Two flows, spinning in balance, and between them, the sky finds its shape. When we think of spinning clouds, our minds often drift to tall storms, supercells, and tornadoes. But rotation can live in quieter places too, even high above, in clouds that don't threaten, just drift. Altocumulus clouds, those soft, mid-level formations that stretch across the sky in wave-like rows, sometimes hold rotation of their own. Not strong, not fast, but real and beautiful. These clouds form between 6,000 and 20,000 feet above the ground. They appear as patches or layers, often puffy or rippled, sometimes spreading in undulating patterns that resemble fish scales or gentle waves. But if you look closely, especially during early morning or late evening, you might notice something more, a faint turning, a subtle curl within the structure. These are hidden rotations, not part of a storm, but part of the sky's quiet language. Altocumulus clouds often form in a stable layer of the atmosphere, where winds at slightly different heights are moving in different directions, or at slightly different speeds. This creates shear, not enough to build thunderstorms, but enough to curl moisture into soft, rolling patterns, like waves in slow motion, like the sky breathing sideways. Some of these clouds form wave trains, bands of rising and sinking air caused by gentle disturbances in the atmosphere. And as the air moves, these waves can begin to rotate. Sometimes, the curls are so gentle, they're almost invisible. Other times, you can see them clearly, small pockets within the altocumulus layer, spinning slowly, almost hypnotically. Meteorologists call these Kelvin-Helmholtz waves when they become especially well defined, a series of curls that resemble ocean surf or the crests of whipped cream. These features are brief, fragile, and often gone within minutes. But while they last, they're a reminder. That rotation is not reserved for the violent. It can be soft, it can float, it can be carried by mid-level winds and cradled in quiet layers of atmosphere. Altocumulus clouds rarely produce rain. They don't rumble or flash. They are background clouds, gentle observers of the sky's rhythm. And yet, when the conditions are right, they spin. So tonight, imagine looking upward into a blue and lavender sky. The sun is low, the air is still, and there, high above, you see soft bands of altocumulus drifting by, their edges curling gently inward, their forms shaped not by pressure, but by poetry. They are turning slowly, not to form a storm, but to express the air's natural desire to move in circles. Let your thoughts follow that motion. Let them drift. Let them curl. The sky is always spinning, even when you least expect it. Far out over the open ocean, where the water is warm and deep, a gentle rotation sometimes begins. It starts as a whisper, a low-pressure area, cradled in the tropics, surrounded by moist air, warmed by the sea below. And slowly, patiently, it begins to spin. This is the spiral of a tropical storm. At first, there's no storm shape, just clusters of clouds drifting, building, separating. But as the system strengthens, something elegant starts to form. The clouds organize, the winds align, the rotation becomes graceful, vast, and unmistakable. From above, the spiral is breathtaking. Satellite images reveal it best. Bands of cloud and rain coiling outward from the center, like the arms of a galaxy. The structure is so large, so symmetrical, that it seems almost too perfect to be real. But it is. And it turns in rhythm with the planet beneath. These spiral bands aren't drawn in haste. They stretch slowly, sometimes over hundreds of miles, curving gently across the ocean's surface. Each band carries rain, cloud, and wind, wrapping in soft loops toward the storm's heart. At the center lies the eye, calm, quiet, often clear. Around it, the eye wall, where the storm's rotation is strongest. It's here that the spiral tightens. Air rises quickly, turns sharply, and descends again, completing a loop that can last for days. The storm breathes in spirals. Warm, moist air is pulled inward at the surface. It rises near the core, releasing heat that fuels the rotation. Higher up, air fans outward, venting the storm's breath into the upper atmosphere. And through this looped structure, the spiral maintains itself, delicate, powerful, balanced. To watch a tropical storm grow is to witness nature's geometry in motion. You might see the outer bands roll ashore before the center even arrives. Clouds streaking across the horizon in perfect arcs, brushing the coastline with light rain and gentle wind. These bands spiral inward, like the petals of a quiet flower, soft, coiled, slow-moving. Hurricanes are strong, yes, but they are also deeply ordered. They're not chaos. Their rotation perfected across scale. From the wide outer reaches to the turning core, every part follows a rhythm. And though these storms can bring great change, their formation is rooted in stillness, heat, moisture, pressure, time. So tonight, imagine drifting above one of these spiral giants. No sound, just motion. Bands of white curling across the ocean's surface, clouds dancing in slow rhythm. A storm turning not with rage, but with grace. Tropical storms don't rush, they spiral, and in that spiral lies beauty. There are moments when the storm's spiral begins to focus, when gentle rotation sharpens, when the dance of the sky begins to narrow and reach down. This is how tornadoes are born, but not suddenly, not violently at first. The journey begins quietly, high within the storm. it starts with rotation already in place. A turning updraft, a mesocyclone, a deep structure supported by shear, warmth, and time. The storm is already spinning, but softly, smoothly. Then something shifts. The rotation tightens. Air near the surface is pulled upward more strongly, and a small column begins to stretch downward. It's a subtle moment, invisible at first. The spin, once broad and gentle, begins to narrow, just like the skater pulling in their arms. The tighter the column becomes, the faster it turns. If the conditions are just right, this narrowing spiral touches the ground. A tornado has formed. But here, in the calm light of understanding, we'll explore this not with fear, but with quiet awe. Because tornadoes don't emerge from chaos alone. They are the product of organization, of energy made efficient, of rotation focused into form. Some begin as wisps, barely visible fingers of wind, swirling above fields and open skies. Others are cloaked in rain or dust, spinning quietly for minutes or moments before they vanish again. What connects them all is their origin, the slow, patient spiral of the storm that came before. Not every rotating cloud becomes a tornado. Most don't. They turn beautifully above the ground and then drift away. But sometimes the spin descends. You might see it in the curve of a wall cloud, in a lowering base, in a sudden tightening of motion where the wind begins to hum. It's not loud at first. It's focused, delicate. Meteorologists call this vorticity stretching, the way rising air stretches rotation into a column, sometimes all the way to the ground. But we can think of it as a thread being pulled gently until it forms a rope. To witness a tornado, safely and from afar, is to see the sky write a circle in air, not scribbled, but drawn. And when it's gone, because it always ends, the world feels still again. The spiral lifts, the clouds unfold, and the sky returns to rest. So tonight, imagine that thread of wind descending softly. Rotation, focused like light through a lens, the storm finding its point, not to frighten, but to complete the spiral. Some storms spin, and sometimes the spin becomes real. But even then, it begins in quiet air. Rotation doesn't disappear in winter. Even when the clouds are quiet, the wind hushed, and the world dressed in white, the sky continues to turn. Snowstorms, too, can swirl. While they may feel gentler than summer storms, winter systems often carry graceful, sweeping patterns, bands of snow that arc across the landscape, each one shaped by wind, temperature, and the Earth's slow spin. You may have seen it before without realizing. A broad winter storm drifting across the region. And yet, the snow doesn't fall evenly. Instead, it arrives in curved stripes, ribbons that stretch for miles, laid across the sky like soft brushstrokes. These are snow bands, long, narrow corridors where snowfall is most intense, often formed by gentle rotation in the atmosphere. These bands spin inward toward a center of low pressure. Others drift sideways, parallel to the wind, but occasionally they curl, and when they do, they reveal the spiral. Even in the cold, the atmosphere moves in circles. Air rises, snow forms, and wind guides it along curved paths. What falls to the ground has been shaped by turning air far above. In northeasters, Alberta clippers, or panhandle hooks, rotation appears in large-scale form, storms that twist slowly as they move, bringing arcs of snow that wrap around a center like soft bands on a shell. From satellite, you can see the spin, just like in summer storms, a broad, coiled shape drifting across snowy fields, an entire system quietly turning. Closer to the ground, mesoscale bands may form smaller, more localized ribbons of snow that spin gently due to thermal contrasts or terrain. These bands may not seem to move much, but within them, snow falls steadily, softly, quietly, one flake after another. And above, the air is rotating. It doesn't feel like a spiral, but it is. This is a slower kind of spin, not dramatic, not harsh, just present. Even lake effect snow, a familiar winter sight in some regions, often shows signs of rotation. Long tendrils of cloud trail downwind from the lake's surface, spinning slightly as warm lake air rises into colder flow, curling into narrow lanes of snowfall. Snow, though silent, is a tracer of motion. It shows us where the air has been. And when it falls in spirals, we're reminded rotation lives even here. So tonight, imagine a snowstorm drifting across a winter field. The clouds above are quiet, the wind slow, but within the storm, the snow follows a path, a curve, a spiral you can't see, but feel. Each flake, part of a story told in circles. And even in the coldest season, the sky remembers how to turn. When a rotating storm passes, it doesn't vanish completely. It leaves behind something. Not always damage, not always sound, but a presence, a pattern, the legacy of the spiral. Some storms carve their memory into the land, tree limbs bent in one direction, blades of grass pressed into circles, puddles shaped by curling runoff. The wind, in passing, leaves fingerprints. Other times, the spiral writes only in water. Rain bands that sweep across a region often leave behind arcs of heavier rainfall. Meteorologists can trace them later, evidence of the storm's rotation hidden in the landscape. You might walk across a field and notice how the soil is wetter in a stripe, or how puddles have gathered in a crescent, soft signs of the curves above. Even in snowfall, the spiral persists. The drifts form patterns, the flakes fall in lines, and for a while, the world looks as if it's been brushed by something moving in slow arcs. Sometimes, the legacy is felt in air alone. After a storm has spun its way across the sky, there's a quiet that follows, a kind of stillness. The wind pauses, the clouds thin, and the air seems to rest. This is the after spiral. The moment the turn has ended, but the memory remains. In the minds of those who watched, the rotation lives on. The shape of the storm, the softness of the arc, the curl of cloud around the sun. Even if nothing touched the ground, the pattern lingers. You might notice birds flying differently the next day, more scattered, more cautious. You might feel a strange calm in the early morning when the last bands have moved on. You might even smell the difference in the air, like wet soil, cooled leaves, and open sky. The storm may be gone, but the spiral is still here. And beyond the physical, there's a rhythm it leaves behind, a reminder that even in motion there can be grace, that the atmosphere doesn't need to shout to be felt, that spirals aren't just shapes, they're lessons of balance, of flow, of release. So tonight, remember this. Every rotating storm leaves something behind, a trace in the clouds, a pattern in the rain, a hush in the wind, a story written in arcs. Let your thoughts follow that memory now, the gentle path left behind in the wake of a turning sky. Because even when it's gone, the spiral remains. Every spiral, no matter how strong, eventually unwinds. No storm lasts forever. No rotation spins without end. There always comes a moment, soft and slow, when the motion begins to let go, and the sky exhales. It doesn't happen all at once. There is no sharp stop, just a gradual loosening. The clouds drift apart, the wind weakens, the structure releases its hold. This is how the spin fades. High above, the carefully aligned winds begin to shift. The low-level inflow loses warmth. Moisture begins to thin. The updraft becomes shallower, less focused. The mesocyclone, once steady and smooth, begins to stretch, then tilt, then fall apart. And the spiral, once strong and elegant, slowly softens. You can see it in the radar returns, bands growing less defined, the hook unwinding, the eye losing its edge. You can feel it in the wind, gusts turning to breezes, then to stillness. The pressure rises, the air clears, some clouds flatten, others break away, floating off like wandering thoughts. And if the storm was gentle, as so many are, the signs are even subtler. The light shifts, the birds return, the horizon reappears, uncurled. The balance that once held the storm together begins to dissolve. There's no need for force anymore. The energy has been spent. The spiral has served its purpose. Even the atmosphere rests. It's comforting to know that every rotation has this natural ending, not through destruction, but through release. Some storms simply drift away, forgotten by the surface, remembered only by the sky. Others leave behind light rain, glowing clouds at sunset, or the faint memory of a spiral that once turned just above us. Meteorologists can track the end, watching the storm's decay, seeing the core unravel, noting the loss of organization. But we can feel it without instruments. That moment when the breath of the storm is finally let go, when the spin untwists, when the silence returns. Tonight, imagine that moment. The cloud, once tight and turning, now soft and drifting. The wind, no longer circling, now gliding in gentle lines. The spiral, no longer held, now letting go. It's a lullaby written in air, because even in its final moments, the storm remembers how to be calm, and when the spin fades, the world is still again. At the heart of every storm that turns, every spiral in the sky, there is something deeper than wind or cloud. There is balance, there is motion, refined, and there is beauty. The spin of a storm is not just a product of physics, it's a signature, a pattern drawn in the air, a moment where forces find harmony and express it through motion. Rotation is the atmosphere organizing itself, not in haste, not in chaos, but in quiet rhythm. Warmth rises, cool air descends, winds shear gently across heights, and somewhere between those layers, the sky decides to turn, not because it must, but because it can, and when it does, it draws circles across the heavens, soft spirals of cloud and rain, arcs of snow, threads of wind winding through the quiet. It's the same shape we see in seashells, in galaxies, in whirlpools and seeds. Nature's quiet curve, the shape of continuation, the form of flow. Even when it's unseen, the spin is present, in drifting leaves, in ocean currents, in the way fog curls around a lamppost at night. The spin is beautiful because it's honest. It doesn't pretend to be still. It embraces motion without rushing. It finds order, even when conditions are complex. And perhaps that's why we're drawn to it. Not because it's dangerous, but because it reveals something true. That the world doesn't need to be still to be at peace. That movement can be graceful. That the sky can turn and still feel calm. So tonight, as we close this quiet journey together, hold that spiral in your mind. Not as a storm, but as a symbol of balance, of breath, of something ancient and gentle, and always returning. The storm may pass, the cloud may fade, but the spiral remains, a whisper of balance, written across the sky. Sleep well, friend. The air is still turning, but softly now, always softly. And as our gentle exploration of spinning storms comes to a close, I hope the quiet turning of the skies brought you a sense of stillness tonight. May the spirals in the clouds remind you that even the most powerful forces in nature can move with softness, with elegance, and with peace. The sky is always moving, always balancing, always writing quiet stories in the air. And now you've become part of that story, resting beneath its rhythm, letting your thoughts drift along the graceful turn of invisible winds. If you'd like to return for more soft journeys through the weather, stories of clouds, currents, snowfall, and stillness, you're always welcome here. Feel free to like or subscribe, or leave a peaceful thought in the comments, but only if it feels restful to do so. There's no pressure, no hurry, only calm skies ahead. You can rest now. Let the atmosphere continue its quiet spinning above your dreams. The clouds will keep watch, the wind will hum its lullaby, and the spiral will gently fade into sleep. Snuggle in, feel safe. Let the last swirl of sky carry you deeper into quiet. Good night, peaceful dreams, and calm skies to you.